write it, I drop it, they listen, they bought it. The battle, I fought it, the challenge, they watch it. The hard path, I ran it, the struggles I managed, I never did plan it. We got here, we jamming like, if you came along, baby, let me see your hands. If you wanna fall in love, let me see your hands. If you having fun, baby, let me see your hands. In fact, that's not enough. Hey, let me see you stand up. Hey.
Hey guys, it's me, Tim, back with you for another show. It's going to be a mock draft show. We got a bunch of old friends, a couple new friends, old friends like Jameson, Frodo, Holly, guys that stuck with me. God, 3 years, this will be our third year now. So again, thanks guys. Whenever I ask them to jump on a mock draft or ask a couple questions, these guys are all down to do it. And they got some good questions. So tip my hat to you guys. New guy, John Z. Thanks for all the support. I appreciate every single bit of it. So told him to jump on the YouTube chat. So if you guys are live right now, jump on the YouTube chat. Either ask questions about just life in general. It's going to be a fun show. I got one thing I'm working on this mock draft. I'm not going to say it right now because I don't want anybody to screw it up. But I've been seeing this trend, and I don't know if it'll work out as the greatest team ever, but when I start, you'll start to see in the first couple picks, you'll be like, oh, okay, I know where he's going with this. It seems to work out when I mock draft without people, so I'm wanting to go tonight. I'm going to try to mock draft with people because that's the best way to do it, guys. The only way you're going to learn how to mock draft, or if you're going to learn how to get better at your drafting and understanding ADPs, you got to do it with real people because real people are going to take players in different spots. It's not always going to happen the way you expect it to. So, again, thanks for everybody for joining tonight. We got Darnold Truther, again, a couple of guys like Jameson and Frodo, new guy CC Barnett, Waddleberger, and Raji 12 has already been lighting up the fire with basically getting excited about this. Again, thanks, Raji, for coming out. Another big show. Unfortunately, Cam Akers, that wasn't what the show was going to be about today, but it's definitely going to show you where I think people are going to start taking Darrell Henderson and a couple of the backups. I'm not really going to worry about the backups, though. Darrell Henderson's the guy. So he was definitely a good – they started him last year when Akers was out. He did pretty well, but I don't think he's going to go where Akers was going in the middle of the second round. So you might want to see where Henderson goes. I kind of have a feeling he's going to go right around – back into 4, around 5-ish right now. But as we get closer to the season, you see a couple preseason games, he may jump up there. Or you might start seeing the backups start to step up. You might be able to get him like last year. I was getting Gibson late rounds, but as soon as the season got closer, I was getting Gibson in like the 8th and the 7th round. So when I got we did a draft, and I do a draftcation with my boys. We go down to Tennessee, get a cabin, and do it all up. We'd have to do it a little early though, because I don't want it to take away from other drafts. But the early drafts, the early live drafts, are where this show actually excels. So you guys gotta listen to the sleepers. Gotta check out the value pick show. Again, we did the running back show, but unfortunately we didn't have a sound check on it. So when I switched over to the running back screen, for some reason we got a whole bunch of echo. And I really wish we would have done a sound check, but we were running late, and, I just wanted to get the show out there. And obviously, I pushed the show so fast that Cam Akers died on us. So, again, the guys are sitting and waiting in the draft room. I'm going to switch over real quick and get that going. Trying to make sure I got some questions going on behind me. Again, it's a one-man show tonight. We're hoping to get a producer here in the coming years. Hopefully the coming weeks, but I'm hoping in about a year or two, I'll have all the computer stuff gone, and I'll have somebody running the show while I get to just sit here and relax and just give you guys all the information I got. So, again, we got a 10-man league right now, mock draft. Again, I got an idea of what I want to do. If it falls through, we'll again, you got to stay in a mock draft or in a draft. You can't have a plan going into it without a backup plan. Again, don't try to lock down on one plan because then you're just going to screw yourself up. I plan to get certain players and hope to get them in certain rounds. There we go. We filled in I was hoping to talk just long enough to fill in that last last spot. So we got full 10 guys tonight. I'm going to switch over and get this draft started for these guys. They've been waiting a long time. Switch over to our draft screen. Again, it's going to be a good one tonight. I hope you guys enjoy. A lot of talk. It's most likely going to be about Cam Akers tonight. I mean, obviously he's done for the season. Achilles tear. Hard to come back from, too. There's a lot of players coming back from injury, but again, another one you're looking at is Saquon Barkley. I mean, do you really think Saquon Barkley is going to come back from an MCL, I think it's MCL or ACL tear, and be what he was 2 years ago before he got the ankle injury the year before that? So, I mean, he's kind of had an injury-riddled few years since Eli Manning left. I don't know if it's because they put more pressure on him, work harder or something. Maybe when Eli was there, he was just kind of like a, just, I guess, not the guy that they needed to make that team be so good. But again, if you guys got any questions, it's going to be easier for me to find them on the YouTube channel. But right now they started off McCaffrey, Cook, Kamara, Henry, Chubb. So again, we did our running back ranking show, and unfortunately, like I said, Cam Akers went down, and we weren't able to do a sound check. I hope you get to check it out and can get through it without being annoyed with it's like a little echo. I found it right away when somebody that listened to it right after it said, hey, you had a little echo in there. And I was like, all right, well, I'll look into it. And then unfortunately, yeah, the whole thing was kind of screwed up. So I'm trying to get the guys back, and maybe we'll just do another quick show for the top, 1 through 12. We'll do like a 10-minute segment on how we got there, just so it sounds better and you guys can handle it. And then we'll do the next 13 through 24 like we planned on doing anyway. And we're going to have to redo it anyway, just because once you get closer to the season, things change. So you have to understand that a guy that was going ADP or something, and like I have David Montgomery slated going early 5th round right now, and we might see that happen. But if he shows really good in preseason and Cohen doesn't get to touch the ball as much, he'll drop all the way down to early 3rd, maybe even late 2nd. You just watch it. I'm going to make my pick. I'm sure these guys are waiting. Well, my idea was, and like I said, you got to stay very fluid. I was going to take Kelsey or Hill, and then I was going to come back around on the wrap and take the other one. So I was going to hopefully get Kelsey in the early 2nd round, get Tyreek Hill in the 1st round, and then I was hoping for the long comeback, and in late 3rd round I was going to try to pick up Patrick Mahomes. And then when it came back around, I was going to get myself a running back and then just start building my team off of those players. So have Kelsey, Hill, and then, have Mahomes and just load up on guys that are going to have a lot of scores every game. So that was an idea of something I was thinking, but right now it's kind of out. And I'm going to go with one of our top running backs, Ezekiel Elliott, this year. And it's possible, and I'm thinking about it, what are the chances that Tony Pollard gets traded to the Rams before the season starts? I mean, Tony Pollard had a chance to almost be the starting running back a couple years ago, and it just didn't happen. Zeke got his contract that he was looking for, and they just shoved him back. But Pollard, in those couple weeks that he played, looked really, really good, and I hope it showed. So maybe he'll get a chance at actually joining the Rams and taking over Akers' spot instead of Darrell Henderson, because I don't think they believe Darrell Henderson's going to be the future. I mean, but it might just end up just being this year. So don't be picking Darrell Henderson up in any dynasty leagues right just yet. Let's see, we got Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. I think Devontae Adams is going to be okay. Basically either or. If Rodgers is in or out. But he's not going to have the same amount of catches. He's not going to have the same amount of yards. I do think his touchdowns will still be up there. But I did look at one thing, and I saw that Stephon Diggs is still there. I do like Stephon Diggs this year, especially in this league, this mock draft right now. It's 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end and a flex, defense and kicker. So kind of a normal draft. I suggest you guys try to put it out there in most of your leagues. Try to start with 3 wide receivers and 2 running backs. It kind of changes your draft. It makes it a little bit more interesting. It keeps people from trying to load up on all the running backs early. And I'm sure that's probably why maybe these guys didn't notice it so much. But if you load up on running backs early, and by the time you get back there, it's hard to get that second and third wide receiver locked down. So the draft scheme kind of changes. It's not so, I guess, normal every year. I like to change it up just a little bit. But again, we talk about some of these players that are coming back. BC Hawley got Kelsey and Ridley, so he's the only one without a running back right now. So he's really going to dig deep in these later rounds. So check out to see who he thinks that, these running backs that are good enough to fill in later. Right now, Sam Darnold goes in the second round. I know that's a joke, but unfortunately, sometimes that'll happen, and you'll see it happen. You'll see it happen. A lot of times, if you watch a couple of our shows, Jared and I talked about it. Since we live in Cincinnati, we'll get a lot of guys from Cincinnati going, way above their ADP. Burrow go a couple rounds earlier. Joe Mixon might even go in the first round. I watched a live draft 2 years ago at a BW3s that we got finished with ours, and I kind of walked over just because I'm interested in what other people are doing. Somebody took Joe Mixon, I think it was first overall. He wanted Joe Mixon. I've seen it happen with A.J. Green for years. So, again, you kind of look at where you're living at and think, hey, is it really worth taking some hometown players just to get them, way above their ADP? You don't want to reach too much for your hometown players. Kind of ruins your depth of your team. Just got some new coffee today. I ordered it off Amazon. It was 100 K-Cups for I think it was $25. Not bad, not bad. Najee Harris going to Frodo there in the second round. I think Najee Harris is going to have an okay season. I mean, obviously they didn't help out their offensive line at all. I don't have him in my top 12, and honestly I don't know how far away after I stat it all out, if he's going to be closer to 20 or if he's going to be closer to 15. I'm going to look in there, but again, a lot of running backs going off the board real quick in this one, so I imagine there's going to be a couple wide receivers that are pretty good coming back to me in the third round. Hoping to get a new show out this coming Monday, and we're supposed to get Rodgers back for the first time. That, again, he's been gone for 2 years. Had a baby 2 years ago. COVID last year kind of kept him out, and then hopefully Jared will come. If Jared can't make it, I'm looking to have somebody to fill in for him, so it's not just us two. But it should be a good show. I hope to get you guys. Again, it's going to be live as always, so you guys can ask questions and just talk about stuff. But I think the show is going to be basically draft day blunders, what to do and what not to do. A lot of times, you'll get excited for a draft and you just don't think of these things. You just got to settle down. A lot of times what I'll do is when I mock draft, just like I'll do right here, I will write down everybody I got in that round. And then I'll mock draft 5 or 6 more times, maybe even 10 or 15 more times in that same position and write down who I got and see if there's any common players that keep showing up that I like that I can kind of look at and just be like, okay, well, this is how at the 8th position, I can expect my team to have 2-3 running backs at this point and a couple good wide receivers at this point. So it's kind of an easy way to, I guess, not have a plan, but just have an idea of where you're going to be. If you're at the back end of the draft like I am right now, I'm definitely not getting the top tier running backs, but I knew I was going to want to get a top tier wide receiver, so I can kind of play off of that angle. One of the big ones, since you guys are here right now, one of my biggest things is never take an early round quarterback. I was going to do it today if it worked out, get Patrick Mahomes in the third round. I think it would have been okay. But I've been looking at a lot of stuff, and that's something we'll bring up. I'll bring it up on Monday, is the reason why you don't take an early round quarterback. So Frodo Swaggins goes with 3 running backs in a row, Kamara, Harris, and Dobbins. I think this is a really good start. I actually think I have Dobbins over Harris in my rankings, so either way you put it, he's still got 3 good running backs. Jamison Crawler, got Dalvin Cook, and then got Aaron Jones pretty late for his ADP. Aaron Jones falling all the way at the bottom of the second. pretty good pickup there, and then Joe Mixon in third. A lot of those three running backs are lockdown running backs. If that's how I started my regular draft, I'd be pretty happy. Darnold Truther in the first position, of course. Everybody takes CMC. Got himself Metcalf, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think both those guys are kind of boomer bust type guys, but I think Edwards-Helaire is going to have a lot better season than he did last year. Just to, spending one more year with Andy Reid, hopefully staying in a little bit more and actually being in on the blocking down type plays. They didn't want him back there to block for Mahomes. Don't want him getting hurt just because Edwards-Helaire doesn't know, where his blocking scheme is supposed to be at, or just missing blocks. You don't want to do that to your franchise quarterback. 10 years, was he getting $400 million or something like that? It's something stupid. You guys probably know more than I do. Again, if you guys got any questions around the Facebook, it doesn't have to be about fantasy football. It can be about just silly stuff. I'm trying to think of just anything right now. I mean, what do you think about the new pine tar deal, the sticky tack stuff in baseball? I think it's kind of silly. You start seeing a lot more guys getting hit by pitches, so keep an eye on that. Anything you guys want to talk about to get through this hour, I'm good with it. It's a lot easier to hold a show with a second guy here, so you guys can be my co-host. BC Hawley started off tight end, wide receiver, got himself Kelsey, then Ridley. I don't think that was a bad start. I know Ridley's going to have a big year. His ADP isn't that high. I think he might have been able to wait till his third round to get Ridley, but there you have it. And then the first real quarterback off the board, and Kyler Murray over Patrick Mahomes. Kyler Murray had a hell of a year last year. There's one thing I know about Kyler Murray: he does not take big hits when he's out of the pocket. So watch him on that. So Murray is just so elusive. I mean, even though he sits at I think it's like 5'10" or something like that. He's still so elusive. He's like a super speedy Drew Brees. So here I am in the third round. Cam Akers is still there. Not going to take him. Not going to take him. Patrick Mahomes is there like I thought he would be. We got Jefferson, McLaurin. It looks like I'm looking at some good wide receivers here. Probably going to lock down on Jefferson. Top rookie last year. I think he had over 1,400 yards. It was something silly. I could be wrong. When I'm thinking about, he had exactly 1,400 yards. So he had 1,400 yards last year, and I expect to have a little bit more, especially with that extra game too. John's 87 behind me. Got himself Gibson. Then he went Tyreek Hill and then Terry McLaurin. So he went and got running backs and wide receivers from the same team. I worry that might be a problem. I hope you're listening, Johns. I know this show is mainly for helping you with your drafting. And I'll say if your top three picks are on like 2 out of the 3 or 2 out of the 4 are on the same team, and they're not on a high scoring team, it's going to be tough to get points. So I worry about that. And also Gibson's ADP was a little less. But again, if you're a Gibson truther this year and you're sitting at the 10 spot, he probably isn't gonna make it back to your second round pick or your third round pick. So be aware of that. Like I said, if you want him, I guess go out and get him. But you missed out on guys like Eckler. I think Mixon's actually going to have a better year than Gibson. I'm actually thinking Montgomery's probably going to have a better year than Gibson. If I had my list, which I do, that we did for the running backs of guys that fell behind there. I had Aaron Jones before Gibson. So again, like I said, I don't think Washington's going to be that high-flying, high-scoring team that you might think they are going to be, but yeah, if you take 2 of your first, 3 picks and they're both on the same team, it better be, KC. Buccaneers are going to be a high-scoring team. I mean, I just don't think Washington's going to be up there. So just keep an eye on that. My turn. Apparently, I forgot all about it. Sitting here talking about his team, and my team's probably terrible too. Again, I don't like taking early round quarterback, so I'm going to stay away from there. I kind of want to grab a running back before we lose that. lose the top tier. It's between Jacobs and Carson and Sanders. Honestly, right now, I think I like Carson's position, mainly because, I mean, even though Jacobs, if you're looking at Jacobs' stats, last year he was like top 4, top 5 in rushing attempts. So I don't think they brought Kenyon Drake in to take half of those attempts away. I do think they brought him in to kind of just tide it down, like turn it down a little bit. He may not be in top 5 or top 4 in attempts this year, Jacobs won't, but he's still going to be top, 15, top 10. It's not, they didn't bring Drake in to take over the role. Drake was more of a passing down back everywhere he goes, so I think he's just going to fill the role that Booker left and Washington left when they were in when they were playing for the Raiders. I was going to say in Las Vegas, but they were just in Las Vegas last year only. But see who else has got some stuff going. I like Holly's trying to mix it up a little bit. He's got a tight end, he's got a QB, wide receiver, running back. One thing I will tell you, when you're drafting, try not to take those single positions. Like, if you take one early, don't take the other one early. It's going to be really hard for the depth of your wide receivers and your running backs. So if you take a tight end early, try not to take a quarterback too early, because you'll see later on, Holly, that your wide receiver is going to be a lot less, lot lower on the scale than the rest of us. And I'm not saying Kelsey isn't good, but again, sometimes when it comes to fantasy football, you got to find that diamond in the rough later, especially when it comes in tight ends. Tight end's the easiest one. I think one of the easiest ones to tight end and quarterback. I think the easiest ones to just go week by week. Pick and choose on the waiver wire if you want to pick up a tight end for the week, or you'll find somebody really later. I know I've been looking a lot at Evan Ingram. That's somebody that I will talk about. I think Evan Ingram last year, he was like top 5 in targets among tight ends, and it wasn't getting drops. It was just Daniel Jones he just wasn't throwing to him. He's throwing to him, but it just wasn't hitting him. And you'll see, one more year with a quarterback that young, I think they're going to start to connect on some of these balls, and I think they had about a 60% like connection rating. It's going to go up. It's going to go up to 70, and that'll add another 15 to 20 catches on the season, and that'll turn Evan Ingram from a top 12 to top 14 tight end all the way down to 8 or 6. So again, I like Evan Ingram. We were talking earlier about Tyler Higbee. With the loss of Akers, I do think Higbee actually, we were joking about it, but I think he actually gets a little bit of a bump. I think they all get a little bit of a bump. So, I'm not going to make a big secret about it, but I would say Matt Stafford's a huge steal this year. He's going to have to pass it. They're going to have to pass a lot now. They can't just, they were going to, put the ball in the hands of Akers and go with that, but I think they're going to rely on Matt Stafford. And I think, Coach Sean McVay believes in Stafford so much that he can trust him to actually lead this team. I don't think he could trust Jared Goff to lead the team. You saw it last year in the playoffs. They were so quick to put in Wofford. They said that Goff was hurt, but I don't think he was as hurt as you think he was. You go back over some of these teams. Again, Darnold Truther got screwed. He didn't get his quarterback he wanted. Team 6 took him in the second round, which that was, I want to say, Raji, who was in there. But Darnold Truther got himself Cooper and Woods in the 4 and the 5 turn right there. So he knows that we have 3 wide receivers to pick up, and you got to get them, and then 2 running backs. So probably on his next turn, he's probably going to start looking at quarterbacks, tight ends. Looks like Miles Sanders goes in the middle of the 5th round. I keep looking at Miles Sanders, and there's got to be somebody in the backfield at Philadelphia that just stands out. It's got to be Miles Sanders. They're not going to just, throw the ball all day long and swap in and out, Miles Sanders and all the other running backs as often as you think. But, I think that's a good spot for him. Unfortunately, Team 6 that's gone took Cam Akers. I'm probably not going to fix that. I'll just leave him there. but obviously Cam Akers not playing. Kareem Hunt took him in the 6th round or in the 5th round. Gaskins finally goes, so her 23 got himself Myles Gaskins, probably one of the last running backs in my list of guys that you can trust to take your team, week by week. Now it's going to get to the point where we start looking at deeper guys. I know one guy I'm looking at is James Conner. James Conner, I don't think they brought him into Arizona just to back up, I was Edmonds. So, I mean, we'll see where that goes, but I'm pretty positive that if Chase Edmonds, he's been there for 3 years, he's always had the same role. They always bring somebody in, so they've had from David Johnson to Drake to now they got Connor. I think Connor's going to play that same role. He's going to get close to 200 carries, hopefully probably close to like 900 yards. I can almost guarantee that's going to happen. So, guys, don't sleep on Connor this year. He's got a better O-line. It's going to be a good year for Connor. It's going to be a better year than last year. I know that. Doesn't take much. So, again, my turn right now, sitting in the 5th round. Kenny Galladay just went right before me. Trying to look at some of the players. Last running backs out there, Swift, ETN. Again, we talked about Chase Edmonds is sitting there, and Miles Davis. Right now is what I'd look at is I can probably guarantee that Johns is going to take a running back on this turn. So I'm looking at him. He's got 1 running back, 2 wide receivers. He's still got to fill out his team pretty good. So if I wanted to guarantee he wasn't going to take Swift, something like that. But I'm not really worried about that. I don't think Swift's going to be the best running back in the league this year. I'm not gonna jump on that Swift train just yet. Josh Allen sitting there. Dak Prescott. It looks like the quarterbacks are about ready and ripened to be taken about right now. But like I said, I really like to stay away from these early quarterbacks. And again, on Monday of this coming week, the show should be set. We're gonna be on at about 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. So it's gonna be pretty soon for some of you guys there on the left coast. And like I said, Johns takes himself 2 running backs there. He takes Swift and then rookie Javonte Williams from Denver. So it comes right back to me, which is fine. Honestly, out of all the running backs that are still sitting there, really wasn't worried about it. I still got Lockett sitting there. Andrews, tight end, could be a good pick right now, but I still like those late tight ends too. So Kyle Pitts is there. Again, a lot of people will probably pick up Kyle Pitts. I really don't trust in any rookie tight ends. It normally takes 2 to 3 years for a top tier tight end and about 4 to 5 for one of those mid-range tight ends. So you're looking at, I'm really looking at Higbee again this year. Hawkinson might do pretty well. Noah Fant, hopefully, if they get a good quarterback in there, there might be some trades coming up. You see Aaron Rodgers might go there, or if Watson can get out of his deal and hopefully evade some of these charges against him. But if they're true, then he should get what he deserves. If they're not true, I think the people that are, putting false claims on him should be in trouble, but we'll see how that goes. But on another hand, again, if you guys got any questions or anything, get on the YouTube, join it. It's back to me. I said something about Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett's a lockdown wide receiver every year, and I don't think it's bad to pick him up right there. So, again, my team, Ezekiel Elliott and Chris Carson at running back. I got Diggs, Jefferson, Kupp, and Lockett. All guys that are top-tier wide receivers. I'd honestly start, if I had to, I'd start a wide receiver core without Jefferson and Diggs, and I'd start it with Kupp and Lockett, and if I could add in like a Kelsey there, or even a Darren Waller somewhere in there, I think it would have been a good team. Trying to read what these guys on. We're using the Sleeper app today, if I didn't say that again. Sleeper app's really cool. You can set up all your draft situations the way you want them. So, again, I set it up with 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end. a flex, a defense, and a court and a kicker. So, and then we got a couple bench players. So, again, I love the Sleeper app. A good way to meet friends and start new leagues. If I could have started my Yahoo league that we started like 12 years ago and started on the Sleeper app, I would have rather done that any day of the week. But since we are on Yahoo and it has the history of all of our past accomplishments, it's a good way to kind of use that as some smack talk. A lot of leagues right now, I got my championship in one of my draftcation league. I got the championship back this year, which I was super excited about. I'm 4-time champ in that league out of, I think, 7 seasons. So I do pretty well in that league. It doesn't have any slouches in it, though. Again, a lot of those players are mixed between the other leagues I play. It's just the guys that are able to make it down and join the draftcation and have a good time. We do a lot of drinking, a lot of hanging out in the hot tub, and doing other things. So if you guys if you can take one of your leagues and just bump it up a little bit. I hate online drafts. I really do. I love and that's why I'm hoping this year, with kind of COVID subsiding a little bit, you guys will get back to joining in the live drafts, meeting up with your buddies, eating wings and pizza, and we do ribs a lot of times. We'll do ribs, pulled pork. A lot of the guys I draft with, we all have smokers. So one time we had a rib off for it, so like 4 or 5 of the guys brought their ribs, and we all just kind of taste tested. I don't think we ever really picked who won because we didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but the ribs were all good. So again, a lot of fun things you can do. I think the best thing to do is the fun thing is trying to figure out the draft order. So if you want to hear about a couple different ways to pick a draft order, the one thing I hated the most was just drawing cards. You draw cards, whoever gets the king or ace goes first, and so forth. So we kind of started getting rid of that and starting to think of, every year I try to think of a new and innovative way to draw. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but in the end, it kind of adds to the excitement every year. So again, if you're the commissioner of a league, try to think of little things to make it a little bit more exciting. A lot of the guys, instead of getting on the YouTube, they're talking in the actual Sleeper app. Again, it's a good way to meet friends and kind of start up new leagues too, because I know a couple of these guys have asked me to join leagues. I'd love to, but you got to understand, I do a lot for this show. I actually do another show. It's called Southern Ohio Sports Nation. Hopefully the school will be okay, because we do it for the local schools, and I interview coaches and players, and we make a good time of it. So that show, I'm going to start back up. We're already talking to the athletic director, and that show turns into, actually, we broadcast soccer games, football games, basketball games, and hopefully this coming season we might even be able to start broadcasting the baseball and fast pitch games. So honestly, this past year is, with the COVID, it kind of ruined a lot of people's lives, and I really feel bad for it. But at the same time, it helped me a little bit and get myself out there and do more than I ever thought I could. And funny thing is, actually today it's 7/20. It's actually my first anniversary with my wife. So if she ever watches this, so I love you, honey. Happy 1-year anniversary. And we're like any other family. We got kids between us. So I'm a stepdad of 2, and I have one of my own, and got a lot of stuff. We got basketball going on right now. Soccer is going to start up, and all the kids are getting back into school. So, I may see her tonight for a couple minutes, and hopefully we'll get to kind of enjoy our anniversary either coming up this weekend. So, again, 1 year, probably one of the best years of my life right now. Again, even though it sucks that it happened during this COVID pandemic, I got a lot of stuff done that I never thought I could. I did a whole thing around the house where I built a deck. I did a whole bunch of stuff that my wife had on this honey-do list that I was kind of building in my head. I didn't really put it on paper, but I knew exactly what she wanted me to do. And I was off work for about a month and a half, and I made sure that every day I went out and spent as much time as I could trying to finish off this list. So, again, I feel bad for all the people affected by COVID, but it affected me kind of in a different way. So, really interesting. So, my turn here in the 7th round. I think we got rid of the top tier quarterbacks except for Russell Wilson is sitting right there in the 7th round. That's not a bad pick. I'm looking at John's team that's in the 10th pick. He does not have a quarterback. So if I decide to take Russell Wilson now, it's only because John's is probably going to take him. This is going to be one of our biggest things. Like if you get a pick that's at like 2 or 3 or 8 or 9, always make sure you see who the guy behind you has. Make sure you know what they have. And if you're doing like an online draft and it's hard to keep up, try to write down who they're taking or at least check off how many running backs they have and check off how many wide receivers they have. Because if they don't take a quarterback and I get down to this round and I'm like, man, gosh, what should I take? Should I wait in the 8th round and take Russell Wilson or should I take him now? Well, Johns doesn't have a quarterback right now, so the chances of him taking Russell Wilson are a lot better than him not. So right now I'm looking at the tier of wide or quarterback, and right now Russell Wilson is there in that, mid to range, like 2nd tier quarterback. So I'm definitely going to take him. Hopefully. There it goes. Again, thanks guys for tuning in. Sin City Fantasy. I mean, if you guys want to like, subscribe, comment, anything helps. I know a couple years ago I kind of acted like we really didn't want anybody. We didn't really care if you guys liked it or not. It was just us trying to figure ourselves out, figure out where we wanted to be. What kind of fantasy team did we want to be? And when we're all together, you guys will see it's fun, it's enjoyable. A lot of razzing back and forth. It's kind of a little bit more R-rated. So, I don't cuss as much, but when Matt shows up, he's all over the place. Jared and him butt heads, and it's really funny to watch. So, again, you should keep an eye on us. I promise you, we're hoping to get this show back up and running. Again, COVID kind of shut this one down a little bit, but I was able to do some other stuff, and while I wasn't doing this, to kind of get myself back to doing this even better every year. Unfortunately, again, like I said, I don't have a producer. I don't have anybody to run this. It's just me in front of a screen right now. That's the one thing, actually, I didn't want to do, but sometimes just to get you guys, a couple more shows, I can come down to my basement and basically do a show from my basement and put it right into your phone, and that's what I like about YouTube. Again, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, anything. Chase Edmonds still sitting there, staying really far away from him. Next, Melvin Gordon. Again, I don't think Javonte Williams is going to get 80% of the carries. I think it's going to be more 50-50. Even though you hate to hear it, I don't think Melvin Gordon's going to be kicked to the curb. Another one is James Robinson, a guy last year that had over 1,000 yards rushing. I don't know how exactly you can take a guy that got 240 attempts, over 1,000 yards, and just bring a rookie in, ETN, and just say, guess what? You're not going to, we're just going to take the ball out of your hands, even though you did a really good job last year. A rookie quarterback, I don't think they're going to just put 2 rookies back there and let them run. So I think a good person right here in the 8th round is Robinson. I'm going to double check on my tight end situation. I like Goddard. I think he's going to have a really good season, but I think the guy I want to get right now is actually James Robinson. I think he's a good running back in there that'll, he'll be a good fill-in. We're going to find some easier games, and he'll slide right in there. Maybe if they're playing like the Colts, I won't want to play him, but if they go up against, I'm trying to think of it, like a Saints or something like that, I'd throw him in there. Definitely I'd throw him against the Bengals. They suck. Again, thanks Kyle for telling me happy anniversary. And me and my wife, we've actually been together since 2012. So I mean, it's not like we didn't know who we were getting in with. So we were dating, and we've lived together for 8-9 years. So I think that was the way we both want to do it. We were both getting out of divorces, really toxic situations, and unfortunately that happens. But when you find somebody that turns into that can be your friend and be one of your best friends, I kind of liked it, and I held on to her. And when I didn't feel forced in my first marriage, I felt forced to buy the ring, and it really bothered me. And it didn't feel right, but I did anyway, and it just didn't work out. And again, it did. The fortunate thing is I have my daughter out of that situation, and I love her to death. Unfortunately, I have to share with her mom, but that's what you have to do. And I'm not worried about that. It's just like to tell you guys the honest truth. If you feel forced into buying the ring, don't buy the ring. Get the fuck out. I know the day that I wanted the minute, the day, the time that I wanted to buy the ring, and I was excited to do it. I went out and had a great time. I took my mom out with me, and we drove around to all the different ring sales places, and made a day of it. My mom loved it because I don't think she really liked my ex-wife at all, and she does like my new wife. So that it worked out, and she enjoyed it too because I involved her in it, and then I went to go. We bought the ring. We bought it around like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I did this special thing where we were actually on the beach, and I hid it in the sand, and I had the kids, so all of our kids and all my nephews and my nieces take shovels and start digging and try to find. I told them, I said, I hid some rings for you guys, and I did. I hid a couple other rings, and while they were looking for those rings and digging them up, I had my fiance's ring at the time, or my girlfriend's ring, and behind me, and when she turned around, I was on my knee and I held it out. She'd been drinking all day long. She was probably about 8 or 9 cervezas in, and she wasn't mad, but she was just like, she's like, why couldn't you just wait one more day? And like, it doesn't matter. Every day at 5 o'clock, you'd already had plenty to drink, and so what is, I remember it. I don't know how much she does, but again, it was funny, and that's kind of how our relationship's always been, is try to turn everything into a little bit of a laugh and enjoy it. We've had some down times, but again, the percentage of up times have been so much more, and it's made the relationship grow, and it's fun. So I don't want to talk about that too much. It's fantasy football. Yeah, I mean, Kyle's talking about, waiting 8 years. He was engaged for 8 years. I mean, that's a way to get to know somebody. And if they don't pressure you, that's the right one for you. I mean, there can be subtle jabs and say, hey, I wish we were married or something like that, but not. I mean, if you would have seen the toxic situation I was in, I was pushed into getting married, and do I think it would have happened eventually? Maybe, but I felt really forced, and the situation of buying the ring was weird, and the actual presenting the ring was even worse. So I don't want to get into that. That'll ruin the mood. But again, 1 year anniversary. I'm still kicking. I'm still alive. Beat COVID. I had it. I beat it. I'm good to go. So again, I hope you guys all made it through okay. I hope your family members made it through okay, and we can enjoy stuff like these fantasy football season we're about to have. Again, one extra game on the docket this year. Whole bunch of stuff happened right there. Real quick, Goddard went off the list. I was hoping he would last one more. I didn't think he would. Claypool went. Robbie Anderson went. Robbie Anderson's a huge late round wide receiver to pick up. Again, Herr has got a great team right now. He's got Taylor, Eckler, and then at wide receiver he's got Allen Robinson. He's got Johnson, Higgins, and Anderson, and then of course he's got Gaskins and Zach Moss in basically to run on his bench right now. The one thing that Herr doesn't have, he doesn't have a tight end or a quarterback. So again, it's my turn. I did get a quarterback in the 7th round, so I don't have to worry about one, and really don't have to worry about one for the rest of the draft. Again, you guys got if you get one of the top tier quarterbacks, do not waste any of your picks on a backup quarterback. You'll be able to find one in the waivers just fine. So again, if you take Russell Wilson, or, again, if you got Patrick Mahomes, Allen Jackson, Prescott, even Herbert, don't take another quarterback. Maybe with your last pick, if you got like 18 rounds, take one. But if you got only 15 rounds, try to get as many of these running backs that might happen and might break out this year. So again, it's my turn. And a running back that may break out and may have a good year is actually Mr. Carter right there from the Jets. I don't think he's going to get the full run, but him and Tevin Coleman's never had the starting role type of back. He's never had the full, amount of workload, so I don't think it's going to be just Tevin Coleman, for the Jets. I think they will try to get fresh blood in there. I think Carter's going to play a lot. He's not a burner, but he's a guy who's got a good first step. He's going to get outside and make some moves. He kind of reminds me, if I was to put him like somebody, maybe a young David Johnson or something like that. So keep an eye on him. I think I got him in the 9th round. I think it's a good pick for a guy that's possibly starting running back. I'd like to fill out my team just a little bit more. There's a couple good wide receivers still out there. I like Curtis Samuel. Landry's still out there. DJ Chark is still sitting there. I worry about DJ Chark this year. They did pick up a couple wide receivers. They made sure that Laviska Shenault is technically a wide receiver now. I don't think he has any running back status. So, again, he's going to be a full-time wide receiver. I just don't think if they trusted in DJ Chark, I don't think they would have picked up, definitely wouldn't have picked up Marvin Jones. They got Laquan Treadwell. Can't even say his name right, but so yeah, he's talking about cracking some beers. Again, that's something I haven't done tonight. I was kind of enjoying this coffee, but I'll tell you what, I've been enjoying these Voodoo Ranger variety packs. So if you guys ever get like the Voodoo Ranger around you, they're all like little IPA, but they're like the New Belgium style, so they're not as like, they don't have that hard bite at the end. Really good. Starting to like the IPAs a little bit more, and more I drink them. Good stuff. I had one the other day when we did the running back show about 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I like to start the show with a little beer, kind of take the edge off. I know I'm going to be talking a lot. Helps out. But one thing I was trying to wait back to tell you again, I did the broadcasting stuff for the local school. We moved that, and we actually started. The guy that I was doing the broadcasting with, we actually got a chance. We got picked up by a streaming site called Chatterbox Live, and they let us do Division I boys basketball. We did Division II girls basketball. And we did a whole bunch of games, and they actually paid us to do it. So it was really cool. So it's just, again, like I said, the COVID stuff. Unfortunately, it hurt a lot of people, but when it came to, what happened to me, it actually, I started getting these opportunities, and I just kept taking every opportunity and just kept saying yes, yes, yes. Keep, whatever happens, and that's exactly what happened. So it was really fun. I got to do, a whole bunch of local schools that I've never gotten to do before, and met a lot of good contacts along the way. Try to do my best job. I think I have a different style than a lot of these normal broadcasters. I do worry about stats and everything, but I try to bring a lot of my personality out into it. I'm kind of a dry humor, but smart alecky kind of, person too. So, if somebody would give me some, shit on the sidelines, I make sure I give it right back, and it'd go right over the air. It's, it happens. I got, had a couple refs yell at me because I would say it's a bad call, and they, but that's me. I was calling it over the broadcast. The people at home want to know if it was a good call, bad call, and the refs are like, you can't tell me I did a bad call. I said, I'm not telling you. I'm telling people at home. So you worry about your game, I'll worry about mine. It was a funny situation. The refs weren't used to having a live broadcast of the game, so it was kind of interesting. But as the year went on, they started to catch on that, I think it's here to stay. especially with high school. Just the way it is, how easy it is to get a live broadcast of a game. I'm gonna probably let the computer auto pick for Johns. He's been out of it for about a couple rounds now. Again, it's my turn. I've got 4 running backs: Ezekiel Elliott, Chris Carson, James Robinson, and then Michael Carter right here. So again, I think that's good 4 running backs. I got a good 4 wide receivers. I'd like to have another wide receiver as we go down. So I mean, like I said, we got DJ Chark sitting right there. I think he's a good boomer bust guy to get here in the late round, so 10th round. Now I know on the way back what you guys are looking at. I don't have a tight end yet. After I missed on Goddard, Hawkinson and everything, there's only one guy I'm looking at. Well, 2 guys. Let's take that back. Higbee's gonna be out there. He's gonna have a good year. Matthew Stafford's he can support. I think I've looked, and he's normally can support at least 3 players on a team. He's kind of like a cheaper or a better version of Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger can support what I'll say is 3 flex positions. So he can support 2 wide receivers and a running back, or he can support a running back, a tight end, and a wide receiver. He's done it for years, and he'll do it this year. So trying to read some of these guys in the sleeper chat. Frodo Swaggin says, my running backs are consistent. Wide receivers are boom bust. Quarterback, boom with high floor, and tight end is shit. So he didn't got a tight end yet. Jackson, high ceiling for Jackson. I mean, had a down year last year. I mean, I was praising him too. I felt bad for it. Had a really good end of his season, but started really, really slow. He's got Watkins there this year. Obviously another year with Andrews, another year with Hollywood Brown. Jackson's gonna have a year. He's got to. Another thing, Josh Allen's gonna have a good year. Nothing's really changed. He's got a little bit better wider. Well, I'd say he lost John Brown, but gained Emmanuel Sanders. But going over Frodo's team, like he said, he's got consistent at running back, very consistent. So he's got guys. His top 3 again, like I said, Chase Edmonds. Maybe I can show you guys this, and it'll show player card. I'll try to look at. I wish it would show. It's got so many stats, but he ended up picking up Connor. So that's a very smart job, Frodo. Great job. If you can get Connor in a deep round and get Edmonds at a deep round too, I think that's good. But again, you look at 2020. Here we go. Career stats for Chase Edmonds. I mean, trying to attempts last year, he had 97 attempts. Year before that, 60. Year before that, 60. So he did have a lot. He had about 37 more attempts and about another 150 yards than the previous year. So does he make the huge jump? I just don't see it. James Conner, we look at his card, and I'll show it to you. I mean, last year he had 169 attempts, 721 yards. I think that's pretty good, and I think if that's what you get out of your running back, that's what you got in the late 10th round, I think you did a good job. But I want to show you something. You look at Kenyon Drake, the guy who he's replacing. Kenyon Drake last year, 239 attempts. 239. He got 955 yards and 10 touchdowns. Again, the guy that James Conner is replacing got almost 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, 239 attempts. I do think Connor has a little bit of an injury history. He may be out 1 or 2 games, but if you can get him for 13 or 14 games and get him at the Kenyon Drake pace that he should see, I think James Conner is going to be a steal of a guy this year. It's just my opinion, my lukewarm take. Waddleberger wants me to rate his squad. I will. Yeah, definitely, man. That's what it's fun about here. I love rating it. I may not like your team. I may love it. I like that you got George Kittle in the 4th round, man. That was a great job. I think the one thing and this is what Jared does. So if my co-host Jared, he has an idea who he wants, and he doesn't care if he takes him around early. So I think you would have been able to get David Montgomery in the 4th round if you would have waited, and you could have taken somebody else to kind of make your team a tiny bit better. But again, when you take a player like a round earlier, you're taking away the depth of your team in the long run. May not seem like it at first, but in the very bottom of the day, at the end of the day, you're going to have a little bit of, a little depth problem. But you killed it with the Kittle pick. I mean, that if you take Kittle and swap Montgomery and just swap them, honestly, I would be like, man, you got a hell of a team, and you got him right where you're supposed to. Got DJ Moore. I think he was one of the last ones in my 3rd tier wide receivers. So you got a good wide receiver in there. You got Devontae Adams, which again, you got him at a good price right now. With or, like we said, with or without Rodgers, he's gonna get points. He's the best wide receiver in the league. He just has to throw it up for Adams and catch it. Doesn't matter if it's Jordan Love throwing to him or Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. It could be me throwing to him. He's gonna catch the damn ball. Juju Smith-Schuster, love him. Again, a lot of people are fading him. I think they're going to put him back in the slot where I think he's best served. He's going to get a lot of first downs, a lot of catches. In a PPR league, you're looking really good. Smith, rookie. I'm not big on rookie wide receivers, but I mean, I was pretty big on Justin Jefferson last year, and he did me pretty good. I got him almost on all my teams in the late rounds because I love Justin Jefferson. I think he was put into the right situation. Now, when you look at a player, like Smith, trying to look at some other stuff right now, but you look at a player like Smith, and he's put in a good situation. So again, he doesn't have to be the best wide receiver out there, best rookie wide receiver. It's just a really good situation. Look at that. Got Darrell Henderson. Everybody forgot about him. He picked him up in the ninth round. I wasn't going to take him because I wanted one of you guys to take him because I would have taken him right around the 5th or 6th round. I probably would have, instead of Lockett, I probably would have locked down Darrell Henderson. Again, he's not going to end up going in the 9th round, but if you did a draft today and you locked down Darrell Henderson in the 9th round, dude, you crushed it. I think you're going a little too many rookie wide receivers. I don't think I'd do Waddle. I think he's going to be their 3rd, maybe even 4th best wide receiver or best receiver out there. Because, I mean, you got to think Gesicki's still there. I think there's still Parker. They're going to get Fuller. So even after those guys, does Waddle slide in there into the slot? And yeah, he probably does. But, is Tua going to be throwing it most of the time, or are they going to be, running a little bit more? I don't see Waddle really breaking out this season. Then you got Gus Edwards. He got paid this year. So they're definitely using Gus Edwards, but I think your killer pick of the day, Darrell Henderson, man. Again, if you can keep sneaking him, if you did a draft today, you did really good. I mean, I don't know what you want me to grade you out of, but that was a hell of a pick. You're the one who figured him out. So, Waddleberger's saying he doesn't like Jacobs. Again, I told you and I just go strictly off of stats. Unfortunately, do I think he's going to have as good of a year as he has in previous years? Probably not. Kenyon Drake deserves more touches than, Devontae Booker or something like that. But I don't think they brought Drake in to take over Jacobs' job. And again, if I could show you, I think if you look at attempts last year, Josh Jacobs was like top 4. I think he was 4 or 5 in attempts. So again, attempts are good. They just keep working with him. So right now, I haven't got a tight end yet. I don't think I have to worry about Johns getting a tight end since he has 2 already. So I'm going to try to grab any player. Again, a lot of a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of everything out there. Again, we talk about some of these players, boom or bust. I guess I only have 13 seconds left to pick somebody because I was talking so much. I really don't like too many guys up there. And I'll be truthful. I play in a lot of these defensive leagues that are high defense. I would pick if you're playing a league that still has defense, and you run into these walls where you're like, shit, they're not going to take my next players. My next players are a couple picks away. But if you can get that top-ranked defense, you might as well take it. I play in some high defensive point leagues where, there's a couple times where that defense will score 30. We've had some high scoring defenses before, but I mean they got to score 3 touchdowns, a whole bunch of interceptions. So I will take my tight end. I knew that Johns wasn't going to take a tight end right there, so I'm gonna go with Higbee. Thomas and Gesicki are out there. I just don't see them getting the points. And then I worry about Tanyan. Tanyan, if Rodgers doesn't play, Tanyan I think is a lost cause. I just don't think he's gonna see anything. I just think you're gonna fade him and everything. But I think Higbee, again with the unfortunate injury, Achilles injury to Akers, I think he's gonna have a lot better year. I think they're gonna have to rely on him. C Money's asking CMC or Henry on half PPR first pick. Well, if you watch the running back ranking show, if you can stand the running back ranking show, again, we had a little bit of a audio malfunction, something I've never seen before, and unfortunately it happened to me on one of my favorite shows, and we all went CMC. Any half point, full point, obviously. If it's 0, if there's no PPR at all, it would be really close. But both Jared and I think that Derrick Henry is going to take a little bit of a hit on his attempts. I mean, I think he had over 300 and some attempts last year. I mean, maybe he hits that, but that's because they have the extra game. But I wouldn't change anything. I know CMC's had the injury problems last year, and he really let everybody down. And then you look at Dalvin Cook, and Dalvin Cook had an injury problem. We said, last year we said if Dalvin Cook can make it through an entire season, we'll take him off our injury radar, which I think he did just that last year. Kamara, still a great running back there. I think if they go with Winston at quarterback, I think Kamara is going to jump all the way up into definite third or maybe even second, running back off the list. But if they bring in Taysom Hill, Kamara loses a lot of those red zone touchdowns he was getting. So Taysom Hill gets on average he actually averages a rushing touchdown every game he started. So he takes away that one touchdown that Kamara could have. So you don't want to do that. Jameis Winston isn't going to run one in unless he's on goal line and he has to dive over the pile. But again, I hope Kamara, he's going to do well this year with or without whatever quarterback. But I really think Taysom Hill, if he starts, Kamara is going to drop back below Chubb, Taylor, and it might be at the end of. I wouldn't take him till probably the end of the first round. If it's Winston, I would jump him all the way up into the 3rd or 4th spot if you can get him there. Again, thanks for the questions. K Money. Yeah, again. Hope to have a couple more drinking and drafting, at least mock drafting. That's another thing we're going to talk about in the draft day blunders. If you want to drink and mock draft, that's fine. But drinking and drafting, like if you get too hammered, you're gonna wake up and you're gonna look at your team and you're gonna be like, what the fuck did I do? So again, guys, do not get hammered drunk at your drafts. Try to stay lucid upstairs. Don't smoke too much. Don't drink too much. You'll really ruin. I mean, if you ruin your draft, you just ruin the next 16, 17 weeks of your there's only 16 or 17 weeks in a fantasy season. And then you got to wait till the next year. And, that's 52 weeks away. So do not ruin your draft by having too much fun. I mean, I've done it before. And I speak from experience. So. Frodo Swaggin wants some grades. Everybody's giving him F minus, and A. Again, Frodo Swaggins thinks start out real good. We've talked about his team a couple times now. Really good job. Another team that we haven't really talked about, Jamison Crawler. I like his first 5 picks, 6 picks, and then he got Kyle Pitts. I definitely before you finish this draft, I would try to find another tight end just in case Kyle Pitts isn't what you thought he was. Like I said, Ingram's still out there. I'm trying to look. Jared Cook just got taken, so that would have been another guy. Frodo Swaggins had a plan in mind, and I can see it happened. He's done a really good job. I remember a couple years ago, it was either last year or the year before, Frodo was having trouble with drafting. I don't think he understood that if you take a tight end too early or you take a quarterback too early, you really have to get locked down on those other positions. But it's really hard to take both early. So really good pick there late. Jared Cook is obviously starting tight end for the Chargers. Here it is, my turn, late 13th round. Going to start looking in for your sleeper picks. I really should have started them. Again, another thing that I really love about the sleeper app is finding these late picks. Honestly, this might not be a bad idea to grab either Ingram or Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith. I mean, I do think Jonnu Smith and Henry are going to have decent years. But again, like I said, you look at Evan Ingram and the amount of attempts or targets he had last season. He had 109 targets. So 109 targets. In his first season when he was a top 5 tight end, he got like 115 targets. So, it wasn't that much far. I mean, if they would have just connected on more passes, he would have been up there. So, again, it's just the difference of, how many receptions, how many targets, and what happens with him, yards per touchdown, or yards per touch, and how many touchdowns. Obviously, last year he only had 1 touchdown. And we used to talk about it all the time with Julio Jones. His touchdowns were so erratic, up and down, and you just couldn't pinpoint him for a season. But, Evan Ingram should have more than 1 touchdown this year, and that's going to bump him up into a top 10 tight end. Somebody that if I can just kind of put him down out there, and if he explodes, then I can have him for trade bait, or I just play him. So if Higbee gets hurt, I have somebody to fill in. Again, probably not going to get my kicker just yet. I'll wait for that last pick. But I'll also give you another tip that I was going to give on next Monday's show. So when I finally get my player, and we got Devontae Parker out there still. And again, we were talking about these, a lot of these players that are out there. Stat that I saw, T.Y. Hilton in the last 5 or 6 games last season was top 10 in PPR points. So he finished last season as a wide receiver 1 on average in the last final week. So again, T.Y. Hilton, and I think he's got a better quarterback this year, and a quarterback that plays more his style. Again, Carson Wentz is a deep ball thrower. Phillip Rivers is not. I think Phillip Rivers had a great career, but the way he threw, it was like a push throw. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he pushed his throws. They didn't go too deep. Carson Wentz can throw it 65 yards in the air, and that was T.Y. Hilton's game a couple years ago. We'll see if T.Y. Hilton has lost a step, though. I'd like to see the one thing I'd like to see. Zach Ertz is kind of sitting in limbo right now. He hasn't got picked up, but I think Indianapolis would be the perfect spot for Zach Ertz. So I don't think it's going to happen just because I say it, but just think about it. They put Zach Ertz there. I think that team, they are definitely going to be in the AFC AFC Championship game. Kyle is Darnold truther. He said, "What do you think of my squad? I love that you got Stafford late. Again, we were just talking about him. Again, with the loss of Akers, I don't think that actually hurts Stafford. I think that actually helps him out a little bit. He's got plenty of receivers to throw to, so it's not a problem. It's not like he lost one of his main targets. It probably wasn't going to be, even one of his top 3 targets. It's just now he's going to target the other guys that much more. And I think McVay trusts in Stafford a lot more than he did in Goff. We've talked about earlier. Again, one of your late-round quarterbacks that you can get in the 12th round. And, I'll even, if I can find it, Stafford has consistently, even on a shitty team, consistently been right around the top 10 or right outside. I know the past 3 years have been kind of goofy, but if you go back from 2011 to 2017, he was on average right around the 8th ranked quarterback, 7th, 6th. It's just right there. Do I think he can make it? And that was with good receivers. So obviously Megatron was there, and that helps him out. This year he's got Kupp, he's got Woods, he's got Higbee. There's a couple guys behind him. So, I mean, Van Jefferson's still there. So, I don't think he's gonna have to. You don't have to worry about him. Again, he's gonna probably be a top 10 quarterback, and you got him in the 12th round. Goddard, great late round tight end. So again, the guys that you got in your one position, so your single position as your tight end, your quarterback, you got them late. That means you're gonna have a lot of depth with the rest of your team. So in your running backs, you got McCaffrey, obviously first pick overall. You got yourselves Allaire, and then picked up Davis, where Davis, I think you got him at a good spot. I don't think Atlanta's going to have a great running game, but if he's, getting 80% of the touches, then you're going to get a lot of points there. Nice little pickup there late with Murray. If Kamara falls out, Murray's a good person to plug in there. Even he'll pick you up some points on some off weeks too. So Trey Sermon, not bad. We talked about a little bit with San Francisco's running game. I just try to stay away because I have no idea what's going to happen. You already got, I think we've already heard rumors that Mostert might not start the season. He's already on injury watch. So, again, we got to my final pick. Again, good job by everybody. I think everybody did a good job. Again, we talked about John's team in that 10th spot, about taking, 2 players from the same team in a low-scoring offense early. So I'm trying to say that slow as I can so that you understand, you may not want to get 2 players from the same team in a low-scoring offense. Do I think Fitzpatrick's going to be good this year? Yeah. But he just keeps getting older. I mean, he's never really been able to support more than one wide receiver. So it's either going to be McLaurin or it's going to be Samuel, so we're just going to have to pick one. But again, another thing that I say, and when it comes to mock drafts, you can take your kicker, but even in a regular draft, if you waited till the last round to take your kicker, don't take a kicker. Just don't take a kicker. You can pick up your kicker the last day before the season starts. He'll be on waivers. He's fine. Don't take a kicker unless you're getting one of the top guys and you get him a couple rounds earlier because you felt really good about Justin Tucker and you got him. I mean, look, this guy got Justin Tucker in the 14th round. Yeah, I'd take him. But if you waited till the last round, it doesn't matter. Don't take a kicker. Try to find somebody that's deeper down there that might end up getting a starting job somewhere. I'll look like Tony Pollard might be actually the best pick for me right now because if Zeke Elliott gets hurt in the preseason, I got Tony Pollard sitting right there. And I don't have to pay for him. I don't have to worry about a waiver move. I don't have to worry about spending fab. And if Elliott doesn't get hurt, then I just drop somebody and pick up my kicker. It's as easy as that. Let's just say, Michael Carter gets hurt. Well, at least I have Pollard, and I'll pick up my kicker that way. Again, if you take a kicker with 2 or 3 weeks left in the preseason, it's just silly. So, unless you get one of the top kickers, again, a Butker or Tucker, trying to look at a couple of these guys. Again, they're all good kickers. There's 32 teams, and there's only 10 kickers that should be taken. So the 11th best kicker should be on the waivers, or actually the 10th best kicker should be on the waivers because you didn't take one. So again, if you have a top 10 kicker, you're fine. So again, don't take a kicker. I mean, I have a couple leagues that we live draft on the last day, basically almost the last day. Yeah, I might take a kicker, just so I don't have to worry about taking a waiver move if you still have them, or using any fab dollars if I really had to. But if I got a couple live drafts that are preseason week 1 or preseason week 2, and if I get down to it, and my last pick is between a kicker or somebody who could possibly break out, I'm going to take the breakout guy and let it sit throughout the rest of the preseason and let everybody yell at me, why don't you have a kicker? I don't need a kicker. The season hasn't started yet. Same might happen for a defense. If you forget to take a defense and somehow it gets down to the very end, don't take a defense because you're most likely going to be streaming the rest of the season anyway. You're not going to find a great defense. Again, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Sin City Fantasy, we're hoping to get back up and running and making it a smoother show and making sure you guys understand our basic schedule. It's not going to be every night. I always put it out on Sleeper. I try to get in there, so if you want to at me and friend me, I can send you out more. So again, thanks to all the new guys. Again, Darnold Truther, Waddleberger, thanks for sticking in there. And then all the old guys, again, thanks for helping out every year. You guys make it more and more enjoyable to do this show, and I can't wait to see what's going to come, especially when we redo our running back ranking show. So we're already talking about it. We obviously know that there's going to be more injuries, and we're going to have to keep updating our running back rankings. But I hope to, when we do get a regular show, we're going to have the rankings actually scrolling on the bottom line, so that if we're just doing a mess around show and you want to know the rankings, we should have them on the bottom line or bottom ticker, or I'll put them up on the right. But hopefully everything's ready and set. The audio's fixed. Again, we had a little audio problem just for that one ranking scene, and unfortunately, I hope it doesn't ruin the experience for you guys. But again, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment all you want, and I don't care if it's good or bad. Any comment helps at this point. We got to get ourselves back up to the top. We were doing pretty good like 2 years ago, and last year we were getting on average a lot of views and a lot of comments and a lot of likes. But unfortunately, we kind of slowed down because of COVID and because of some other things. Getting new jobs, getting new things are happening. Obviously, like I said, I got married. We actually bought a lake house. So we bought a lake house down in Tennessee, Lake Norris, if you know the place. Trying to make sure that I can do this more and more often. So I enjoy this so much. Again, thanks for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. See if I can finish off this show strong.